OFNC stands for Overseas Fellowship Nigerian Christians and Friends. Overseas Fellowship of Nigerian Christians and Friends. We'll have the chairman of the OFNC open this meeting formally in the next few minutes and tell you more about the OFNC. I just need to advise you that this meeting is being recorded. Today we will be focusing on a particular topic that's very interesting and is of interest to many students, and it will be about how you can secure funding for your future studies. Usually I'll give you just a brief heads up on so in the next few minutes, the chairman will do an opening remark and will tell us about the event and will tell us about the intensity. And then we'll have a very short presentation from two excellent panelists that we have on the call today. After that, we'll have a section for question and answer where we will be responding to your questions and any things you want to share with us or any concerns that you have and that you want the panelists to address. And I think I should use this opportunity to thank the member of the OFNC Back to Root team, the organizing team, who have worked tirelessly to bring this program to us. We have worked very closely as a team, and this team comprises of Mr. Shegun Papola, Dr. Uchechi Nwadike, Dr. Benga Dimu, Dr. Ife Akentide, and Professor Bamidele Adebisi. So the last two names are the co-chair for this particular team. And I did talk about questions. So I just want to stress that if you have any question at the course of the presentation, can you please kindly post your questions to the chat box? So there's a public chat box on the platform. So once you post your question, we will see the questions and we can either directly reply or respond to the questions through the chat box. But if it's something that will probably interest other people and is of general interest, we will retrieve those questions and put them forward to the panelists for discussion. So after the initial panelists presentation, we'll have question and answer, which will be more of a panel discussion and answering to your questions that are posted in the chat box. All right, at this junction, I would like to welcome our own very chairman of the National Chairman of the OFNC and the person of Professor Duro Dola, who is also Professor of Mechanical Engineering at Oxford Brookes University. I have so much pleasure to welcome you, and please, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Godwin. Let me add my appreciation to what Godwin has said about the Back to the Roots team. Back to the Roots events are undoubtedly our most frequent outward-facing event in the OFNC. So we're very grateful for what the team is doing. Today's event is about funding your studies. Higher education is expensive, and it is very wise to look for support. I got support for mine, so I will encourage you to get the same. As we have said, Back to the Roots is an initiative of the OFNC. Godwin has told us OFNC means Overseas Fellowship of Nigerian Christians. Back to the Roots is our way of giving back to people who are in a situation where we were many years ago. OFNC started in the 1960s, and most of the people then were students. Today, OFNC is full of professionals. Recently, we have somebody who was even recognized by the Queen by awarding him member of the British Empire. And there are many people who are in top level in this country. So it's really, we thank God for giving us the grace to look back and try to help people to come out of the type of struggles we had when we started. So OFNC is a non-denominational Christian organization. That means we welcome anybody from any church, and even if you are not a Christian, you are welcome. We are also a charity, which means that we try to support people who are in hardship, in need, or in distress. We have branches in 23 cities all over the UK. So most likely if you come to UK or you're already in UK, you'll be close to one of our branches. Within the OFNC, we have many groups. So don't feel that everybody is a professor, everybody is a consultant. There are people who are of your stage of life within the OFNC, so you will find company among us. And there's also a lot of hospitality in the OFNC. When I was a student at Imperial College in London, I enjoyed OFNC very much there. I invited myself to OFNC members' homes. So to just say a bit more about the type of charity work we do, we are currently constructing boreholes for a large community in Nigeria. It's solar powered, and we're also providing sanitation facilities to it as well. We help people who have sickle cell disease. We provide funding for their medication for a whole year, year in, year out for a number of years now. And one of our great pleasures is that we were able to build a hostel for internally displaced people in Nigeria, people who otherwise would not have a shelter over them. We thank God that OFNC was able to construct this 50-bed hostel for them. Let me not take too much of your time. I would like to close by saying a wise man listens to advice, and this comes from Proverbs chapter 12, verse 15. I pray that as you seek ways and advice for how to find funding for your to fulfill your aspiration, may the Lord help you to fulfill it. And finally, when you have become successful, don't forget God and don't forget others, just as Back to the Roots is trying to support you now. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Diredola, and thank you very much for sharing the excellent work OFNC is doing in terms of charity. And in case you want to find out more about what happens in OFNC and find out the different branches in the UK, I've just posted a link of the OFNC website on the chat box. You can click on the link and just get to find out what's going on in OFNC and if in any way you want to join or contribute. Yeah, so there's a new link that has been posted by Dr. Dimo. So if you can click on that link, and if you want to get in touch with the OFNC, we'll post email address as well. You can contact us on the email address. Right, right. I think we're just going to go on to the presentation. And at this junction, we have two excellent speakers, and I'm really proud that we're able to get their time to come onto this platform to speak with us. Dr. Macaulay, so Dr. Babajide Milton Macaulay is a very renowned person in terms of scholarship and finding funding, and we're really privileged to have him on the forum and to speak with us today. And we also have Mr. Sheyi Awosika, who is a graduate PhD student at the University of Lancaster, and he also will be sharing his experience in applying for funding and how he was successful in getting really competitive scholarship for his master's and his PhD as well. So yeah, I advise you to sit back and relax and hear the excellent advice from this great excellence panelists. And without wasting any more time, I'd like to invite Dr. Macaulay for his presentation, please. If you also can introduce yourself, tell us about yourself, what you do, and then you can go on to your presentation. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Godwin. I'm Dr. Babajide Milton Macaulay, and I'm a native of Lagos State in Nigeria. In 2010, I graduated from the Department of Biology at FUTA, the Federal University of Technology, Akure, and I was fortunate to make a first class, and afterwards I was retained as a lecturer. And by 2012, I was also fortunate to win the Commonwealth Phd Scholarship, which helped me pursue a master's degree in sustainable environmental management at the University of Greenwich in London. And by 2015, I won the Commonwealth Phd Scholarship for my PhD in environmental geochemistry and geomicrobiology, which I had at the University of Manchester. I completed that in 2019 and returned to my employer. So as I speak to you, I'm in FUTA in Nigeria. Now on the site, I also run an educational consulting firm called Illumania. It's an online educational consulting platform that provides support, academic support, a wide range to students, graduates, and business professionals. Now, of all the services we render, scholarship application has been the most sought after, obviously. And I'm proud to say that in the last 3 years, we have been able to produce 96 scholars scattered across the globe. And they have all attracted close to $6 million in scholarship gains, not my personal money. So I guess that's why I was invited here to share one or two tips that I've got with you guys. So I guess after that, I can delve straight into my presentation. So allow me to share my screen because I have a slide to show you guys. Okay. Sorry, I'll have to do that again.
Okay, that's fine.
Can you guys see my screen?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay. Can you see my screen now?
Not yet. Alternatively, if you are you happy to send it to me while you're still trying, and then I can try to see if I can share.
Yes, I could do that as well. Okay then.
Do you have my email, or I can message you?
Yes, I do. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Sorry.
Well, we're trying to sort that out. Can I just say that we're going to be having feedback in the end, and a feedback form to complete. If you can please kindly complete the feedback form. It basically asks you about the program and tells you about other schemes that we are planning in the future, and asks for your opinion about the program and also what you would like to hear in our next event, really. And we do this almost every month, and so we would like to hear back from you so that it can encourage us or help us to plan the next event, really. Dr. Macaulay, once you've sent it, just let me know so that I can just download it. Right, okay. I'm just going to come back to Dr. Macaulay while we're trying to sort this out. Is that okay? Dr. Macaulay, is that okay? Right. He's muted at the moment, but it's fine. Can we have Mr. Awosika, Shaya Awosika, give you a presentation while we're trying to sort out the technical with Dr. Macaulay. Shaya, if you're ready, please, the floor is yours. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So my name is Sheyi Awoshika, and I'm currently a final year PhD student at Lancaster University. My research is on financial technology in sub-Saharan Africa, and it's fully funded by my department. That's Management Science Department here in Lancaster. My background, my first degree was in chemical engineering, and after my program, I was in Nigeria, found my way in the bank, so I worked in the bank for a while. So afterwards, in 2016, came to the UK for my master's in e-business and innovation, which was also in Lancaster Uni then. I think it was after my master's, I decided to switch on to PhD. Yeah, so today I'll be talking a bit from the home and international student perspective. So I'll be brief as possible, but I know it won't be exhaustive, but I will try to be concise. So I classified the scholarships into different groups. One classification I would say could be performance-based, based on your academic excellence. It could be based on your country of origin. It could be based on your race or your group, like some people are disadvantaged and some scholarships are tailored towards that, so disadvantaged and underrepresented groups. Could also be based on family income. Maybe you come from low income families, and you also could be based on your community service, maybe your impact in the community. So not every one of us will have first class like Dr. Macaulay. So if you think if you didn't make it first class, there's still a lot of opportunities. Then also it could be internal and external, like I'm using the universities as an example. The scholarships or fundings offered by the unis are internal, and maybe the ones offered by organizations like the World Bank, Bank of England, Visa, and some other companies could be external. Then also could be local and international, like for people from Nigeria, as an example, there are different scholarships that you could get from Nigeria, and you could also get international funding like the Commonwealth. So I'll start with the undergrads. Yeah, for the home students, and I know for home students in the UK, you have there is loans. There are loans available to you, but my argument will be why rack up loans and start your life with a lot of debt? If you can go debt-free after graduation, why not seize the opportunity? So some of the internal scholarships that are available, for internal scholarships, they are uni-based and they could be based on your performance. They are award-based, maybe your exam results in UCAS, GCSEs, and the likes. So those ones can be very small. It can range for maybe like 2,000 a year or 2,000 pounds in your first year, and maybe 1,000 pounds when you climb for each year of your study. Then you also have bursaries for people based on their household income. Maybe if you come from a family where household income is less than 30,000 or 50,000, you have partial like 1,000 also, or depending on the uni as well. So I'm talking based on my own uni. So local or home students can qualify for both of those scholarships. But in addition to that, there are also external scholarships from companies like Visa, Visa, Mastercard, and the likes. So there are other scholarships that they provide. I think Visa scholarships are actually on now, but that is tailored towards people from Black, Asian, and minority ethnic groups. So you could secure funding from them. Then we have other fundings too from the Bank of England. I think African or Caribbean background. You could also get funding from those institutions. So I think maybe after my presentation, I will send in the link so that they can drop it in some of the links in the chat box. So that's for international. So that's for home students rather. For international students, I think Dr. Macaulay will expand on that later on. Most of the international scholarships could be from the uni as well. They could also be internal, but most internal scholarships are based on fee reductions. Maybe if you are fortunate, you could get like 50% fee reduction or more than that, but most of them are partial, not really full. But like I said, it's also depending on the uni that you are applying to. Then for the external funding, you could, if you have specific unis that you want to go to, you could check their website because there are some affiliated scholarships that they also put. They were not really offered by those unis. They might be from external parties, but they put it on the uni scholarship. So you could also get that. So then briefly, let me talk about postgraduate as well. For postgraduate masters, which I'm familiar with. During my own time, I didn't get a full funding. I got a partial funding, but I know some people who got at least the tune of half or almost their complete tuition waived. So in most cases, those are based on performances. Maybe you have a first class or 2-1, you could waive half or more of your tuition rather. And based on also the university, there are some universities, immediately you come for probably a particular country, you get discounts, maybe like 2,000, 4,000, 5,000 that will be waived for you. So there's no point paying your full tuition if you can get some of those bursaries and discounts waived off your fees. Then externally too, which I think mostly externally you get your full funding externally. Then the likes of the Chevening scholarships, the Commonwealth Scholarship, and also from external companies too that offer full scholarships, Mastercard, and the likes that do their full scholarships. Then I would like to touch my people, PhD students, people going for PhD. Also, I'm so proud of it's such
hello,
a great honor to see your child grow up to be I also such I want to classify those as internal and external as well. For the internal PhD scholarships or fundings or studentships, those are mostly offered by the uni, by the university you apply to. So in most cases, or many cases.
Sorry, Shay, just hold on a minute. Just 1 minute. Please, to mute ourselves. Can I ask all of us to mute ourselves? Thank you. Shay, you can continue. Go on.
Yeah, so for the PhD funding too, like I said, it will be internal if you're applying to a uni. Like mine is internal, was offered to me by my department. And in most cases, they could be full or partial. For the full funding, you get your tuition waived and you get stipends as well, like your allowance that you need for your day-to-day and your living expenses waived. That's open to both home and international students. For international students, you could at times also get maybe partial funding. That's also available in case you don't get the full funding. Partial funding when either your tuition is fully covered, then you now to take care of yourself, or at times maybe the EU tuition is covered, then you now cover the difference between the EU and international student and international tuition. But in most cases, the full tuition is available to full tuition or full funding rather, and studentships are available to both home and international students. In my department, I can use my department as an example. At least we have two of us are Africans. There was a time we were 2 Nigerians, but one of us has graduated now. So we have Africans, so we are like you. We are the same. So it's not, if you understand that, a lot of Africans too are getting this kind of scholarships, then you can have a rest of mind that, okay, I can also get mine. Then for the external ones, could be based on your company, could be based maybe your school, maybe for companies, they have research institutes or they have research programs, and they would want research students to join them to conduct these researches. So you could get all those external fundings. And like I mentioned, Dr. Macaulay will expand more on that, because there are a lot of external scholarships that you could have access to. And for your full funding, you could get a full funding and do your own personal research, like I am doing in fintech. But you could also get full funding and do a partial research. Maybe it's, I mean predetermined research rather. Maybe you join a PhD project, you'll be part of a PhD team, and you do those kind of research which has already been predetermined. So to wrap it all up, I think just additional tips I want to include, like, don't think you're not good enough for it, because from my own experience, when I applied, I submitted, thankfully I was there for my master's, but when I was to submit my application for my PhD, at the point when I was submitting my proposal, I just felt my proposal wasn't even good enough. I was like, okay, should I even do this thing? Let me just abandon it. But I think I just gave myself the final push that let me do this, and that was what I did. And if I had not applied, I wouldn't have gotten it now. So if you think you are not good enough, don't think you're not good enough, rather push yourself. You can always get it. Just trying, like you said, if you don't try at all, then you don't know if you get it or not. Then in terms of seeking PhD funding and research, another thing they could do is to probably contact academics, potential supervisors, because I think that's another thing. When I was applying, I applied to about 6 unis. I contacted, sent emails to some potential supervisors, but I didn't get some admissions because there was nobody in the department to supervise me. They didn't have anyone that was specialized in fintech to supervise me. So that's why I didn't get some of them. So you could reach out to potential supervisors via emails. You could do a Google search. You could reach out to them on LinkedIn. I remember there was one professor that wanted me to come, but they couldn't offer me the full funding. It was just partial in their university. So that's why I couldn't get that as well. So reach out to them on LinkedIn. Even if one person responds, not all of them will respond to you. I'm sure of that, but one person might respond, and that one person might be your joker. Then reach out to people, know their deadlines before submission, apply early. Then application processing, know what you need to, the documents you need to put together and your requirements. And like I said, I will share the links in the chat very shortly. So I think that will be all for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Awosika. Shay, really thank you. That was a really great presentation. And something you did mention, partial funding. I think it's something that we'll probably discuss during our panel discussion, how you can cope if you have a partial funding. Should you take it? Can you cope with partial funding? I think we'll probably elaborate more on the how to survive when you have partial funding. Right, thank you so very much. Can I just remind you, if you have any questions, specifically for Mr. Shaya Awosika, you can post in the chat box. But even if general questions around scholarship, you can also post them in the chat box. And I will also give opportunity to one person if you've had if you've had a scholarship, if you've won a scholarship before. I'll give you just one person opportunity to share their experience, what scholarship was it, what they applied to, and that will come after Dr. Macaulay's presentation. So if you're interested in this opportunity, if you indicate in the chat box that you wish to share your story as well, we'll give you probably 1 minute to share that story. That's okay. Great. I have the pleasure of welcoming Dr. Macaulay to the presentation. I will share his slide and then we can carry on from that. Dr. Macaulay.
Yeah, thank you very much for being so patient with me. Okay.
Yeah, can you see the slides?
Yes, I can. So do I go ahead, right? Okay.
So if you just give me direction on when to move to the next slide, I will control it from here.
No problem. Thank you very much for accepting to do this. Okay, so I'll be speaking on global educational funding opportunities, and I'm very grateful. So I've been called this time again to do this. I was here last year, and I think it was a very good experience, and I'm happy to be here again to share more. Next slide, please. Okay, so quickly, without wasting your time, because I do not have much time here, I'll delve immediately into the scholarship types that I have here. So I've got about 21 opportunities here that I'm going to share with you. So on this first slide, we have the Commonwealth PhD Scholarship, which I won for my PhD. This only covers PhD. If you are a Nigerian, that means to get this scholarship, you have to go to the Ministry of Education for interview. You will be interviewed there and shortlisted before the Commonwealth then picks you. That's the process. There is an alternative process for those of us like myself who work in the university. If your school is one of the, I think there are about 25 or 28 of them, 25 schools from Nigeria given the opportunity to nominate their staff, academic staff members. Like my school is one, FUTA. So I was nominated, but it's not automatic. Commonwealth will still have to select from the nominees. So, and in the end, I was picked. So I came in through the nomination of my school to get the scholarship. I didn't have to go to the Ministry of Education in Abuja. For number 2, Commonwealth Master Scholarship. This opened not long ago and it's closed now. But unfortunately, Nigerians were not placed on the list for nomination. And the reason is because of COVID. COVID really affected a lot economically. So I think they are trying to cut down on costs, and that is why they took us off the masters. But I'm sure we will be placed on the Commonwealth Shared, which should be out anytime from now, because everyone is literally waiting for Commonwealth Shared to be out. So the difference between the two, Commonwealth Master Scholarship, is that it's the same process with the PhD. You have to go through the Ministry of Education in Abuja to be nominated. Then the Commonwealth will pick their final list. While the Commonwealth Shared, just from the word, that shared, what it implies is that the benefit given to the scholar will be shared between the CSC and the UK host institution. They are going to share it. And that's where the name shared came from. As a result, the UK host institution feels that they need to be part of the selection process. And that is the reason why you do not need to go to the Ministry of Education when it comes to Commonwealth Shared. You just apply directly to the UK institution and they'll be the ones to nominate you to Commonwealth, and Commonwealth picks the finalist. Why? Because they're contributing financially. So they felt that they need to be part of the selection process. Now, for the Commonwealth Shared, I need to also add this important information. You can only apply to a list of eligible courses and institutions in the UK. So you can't just go on your own, just browse the web, take any school you like in the UK, take any course you like. It's not going to apply for Commonwealth Shared. For Commonwealth Shared, you have to wait until it's open, then you go through their list of eligible courses and institutions, then you select from that list. That is how it works. If what you're looking for is not on that list, then unfortunately you won't be able to apply for that particular scholarship. So we also have the Chevening Scholarship. Chevening is different from the Commonwealth in the sense that Chevening targets potential leaders, community builders, connectors, network experts, professionals, while the Commonwealth is more driven towards excellence, academic excellence. So if you make a first class, there is a very, I'm going to be very straightforward here. Now, there is a very, I would say they have a soft spot for first class. Almost 80% of Commonwealth scholars are first class, especially shared, especially the Commonwealth Shared. 80% of them are first class. Now, the 20% who have 2-1 can have from 3.5 on a 5-point scale to as high as 4.49 on a 5-point scale. It doesn't matter. However, you need to have something solid in support of your 2-1, like probably work experience, relevant work experience, or relevant leadership or voluntary experience. You need something, or publication that relevant to the field you're interested in. So if you have all of this, in combination with your 2-1, you are a strong contender. So please, don't be discouraged at all. Try. If you don't try, you'll never know. I met a lady in 2019 who got the Commonwealth shared, and she had a 3.5, but she's been working for 4 years in the same industry where she wants to have a master's. It's connected. So, and she explained all of that in her form, and it was good enough, and they picked her. I'm sure they picked her ahead of several first class who probably lacked experience, just first class on paper. So if you don't try, you would never know. Erasmus Mundus Scholarship. Now, this is currently on. Some programs have closed, some are still on. It's for masters and PhD in European universities. Now, it's a consortium. The beautiful thing about Erasmus is that you can have your masters or PhD in multiple institutions in Europe, up to 3. You know, fantastic. A semester in one, another in another, and then the third one in probably the third one in the third school, and then your fourth one, you have to choose amongst the 3 where you want to have your fourth semester, and that's where you wrap up. So it's an amazing scholarship, highly competitive. I would have to give you this information though. In 2019, we did an assessment. I looked at the winners, and I discovered that about 85 Nigerians were picked on the scholarship. And the lowest CGPA the 85 of them had was I think it was a 3.85 or something, 3.85. In 2020, last year, they took more than 100. There were over 102 that got the scholarship from Nigeria. And the interesting thing is, the lowest CGPA, you know, amongst this 102 was 4.00 on a 5-point scale. What am I trying to say? It's increasing kind of gradually, because intelligent people are being produced every day with better grades. Even when you see kids born these days, they are super smart. They are smarter than we were when we were young. So people are so smart these days. And so it's not going to get easier. That's the truth. It's going to be tougher. The more you keep having bright kids, it's going to be tougher. But that's not the end. You just have to look for what you're going to leverage on, and what is going to. I'm going to get to a slide where I'll tell you 1 or 2 things on how you can boost your profile. Now, let me run through this because of time. That scholarship to Germany, and that's for master's, PhD, short courses. There are also opportunities for short courses. For some of you who already have good work experience, you just need to probably refresh your memory on an aspect or learn a skill or on something. And then you can go for a short course of 3 months or for a month, and it's funded. So this is an opportunity to also take advantage of. NMPC Total International Scholarship for only MSc in France. We have the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship for bachelors and masters in North America. For North America, the schools are usually in Canada. So you have McGill, you have UBC. For Europe, you have University of Edinburgh. For Africa, you have University of Cape Town and some other schools. These are just the very key ones I have in my head. Number 9 is Swedish Institute Scholarships for Global Professionals. Now this covers master's, PhD, and postdoc as well to Sweden. Next slide, please. Okay, so we also have the Orange Knowledge Program to the Netherlands, and it covers master's, bachelor's, and short courses as well. I'm actually applying for the short course for this particular one this month because I'm still trying to learn. Yeah, there are a lot of things I do not know, and I'm still trying to learn. So 11 is Mandela Rhodes Scholarship. This is for masters in South Africa. We also have Pan-African University, PAU Scholarship for masters in Africa. In fact, you can have your masters at the University of Ibadan. You know, if you are if your area of specialization is in geological sciences, that's the location where you're going to have it. In UI, and it's funded by PAU, you'll be paid in dollars. And if you're interested in, I think, health related discipline, you'll probably be taken to Kenya. Then I can't really remember, but there are different specializations for different regions of the continent. So they'll take you to South Africa if you're interested in probably the socials. So, but read up more on it on Google and you'd see that it's a very good scholarship, even though, yes, it's in Africa, but it's a very good one. We also have Hong Kong Postgraduate Fellowship Scheme. This helps you do your master's and PhD in Hong Kong. By the way, Hong Kong is an English-speaking country. They were colonized by the British, so don't think that there will be a language barrier here. They speak in English. Now, we also have Joint Japan World Bank Scholarship. This is a highly competitive one, but please try, shoot your shots. Masters, it covers masters globally. The schools are scattered across the globe. We also have the Ptdf Scholarship. This is for masters and PhD, and it covers different regions of the world: America, UK, Germany, France. However, you must be in an area related to oil or petroleum, an area that is related to crude oil or petroleum. It has to be connected. You must be able to show the connection. That's when you get it. If it's too far away, they're not going to give it to you. Then you have MEX Scholarship. MEX Scholarship will take you to Japan, and it covers masters and PhD. We also have the Queen Elizabeth Commonwealth Scholarship. Now, please do not get this mixed up with the other Commonwealth scholarships I mentioned. This is a special one. That's why it has the name of the Queen in front of it. The Queen Elizabeth Commonwealth Scholarship. This is for masters, but it's not in the UK. It takes you to, I would say, middle-income countries for your masters. Places like Jamaica. Jamaica takes you to places like Bangladesh, India. Now, don't feel, whoa, hell no, I'm not going there. Please just relax. They are very good schools. For example, the University of Colombo in Sri Lanka is a very good school. But you might say Sri Lanka, but Commonwealth they've done their homework. They're not going to send you to a mushroom university, trust me, and they're going to fund you. So those schools were shortlisted for a reason. They are very good schools. And in Africa, I think we have University of Cape Town as well, is on that list. I think so. So it's a scholarship that you can also try. The demand on this one is a bit low, so it's something you could try compared to the other Commonwealth types. Then 18, you have Gates Cambridge Scholarship, just from the name, as name implies, it's actually funded by Bill Gates and Melinda Gates. You know, they give so much money. God bless their soul. And they are the ones behind this. And so what they do is they fund masters and PhD to the University of Cambridge in UK. And it's also highly competitive, but please try. Then we have Rhodes Scholarship to the University of Oxford. You know, if Cambridge is doing something, Oxford too would want to balance the scores or even the scores. So Rhodes is the alternative one we have in Oxford for masters and PhD. Also highly competitive. Then we have US universities. Now, this is important. I slotted this in because right now, funding in the UK is now reduced because of COVID. However, there is still funding in the US, but there's a but there. The but is, I discovered that if you are going for a PhD, most of the time you might get turned down because they don't have the money to cover 5-year, 6-year PhD. The money for 5-year, 6-year PhD will cover 3 masters. So another approach is rather than go for a straight PhD, if you have a bachelor's, start with masters. Approach them with masters right now, and they will listen to you because they have money to fund 3 MScs than to fund a single PhD because it's the same amount. PhD is so expensive. And so what I notice is if you go for MSc, they will listen. Another good news is many universities are now scrapping GRE. Hallelujah, right? They are now scrapping GRE. And not only that, they are even scrapping TOEFL and IELTS because it started off in 2020 when they knew that there was global lockdown. People could not really go out to really write these exams, especially those in developing countries. They knew we would have a problem because most of the things we do are physical. They knew the transition to virtual is going to be tough, and they scrapped it. So, and I think that exception is still on. So this is the best time to get into the US. A lot of things have been taken off. The barriers you normally have been taken off. So this is the best time to try the US, in my honest opinion. One other thing you should think about is when you're going to the US, you also need to contact a potential supervisor. Very, very important. You cannot just submit an application and go to bed. You might not be picked for funding. Now, the funding here is often called assistantships, whether it's research or teaching. So, but to get it, you must contact a potential supervisor who might likely say, let me talk to you via Zoom or Skype. And once he likes you or she likes you, and he say, okay, go ahead and apply, then you are one leg in. After you submit your application and your application is solid, both legs are in. And trust me, you'll get the funding. Lastly, is university funding, internal, like the one that Sheyi talked about. So there are lots of internal scholarships, but you have to find them because they are hidden, I would say, hidden in those schools, and they have names. Oftentimes, the scholarships are named after the funders or to honor a great person. You always see them, they always carry a name. You hear, can grant this scholarship, but they are internal. So you can look for them and then apply. So next slide, please. Next slide.
Am I on the right slide?
It hasn't even moved on my screen. It hasn't moved on my screen. Okay, yes, it's now moved. Yes, you are on the right slide. Yes, you're on the right slide. So get prepared early. I'm going to rush through this slide because of time. You have to get prepared early. Now, when is the best time to prepare? I would say 1 year before departure. 1 year before. So not just 1 year before departure. Let me take that back. I would probably say 1 year before application is open. That is 2 years before departure, before you finally leave the country. So that's 1 year before the application is open. Like those who want to apply for Commonwealth Shared, I do not expect them to start running after getting transcripts right now, because Commonwealth Shared will be out anytime from now. In fact, by the close of this day, it could be out. So we are seriously waiting for it to be out. So this is not the time to start trying to get your certificate, your transcript. You should have gotten that before now. And the Commonwealth Share that will open very soon is for those that will depart the country by September. So your preparation time is best 2 years before departure, 1 year before the application is open. So what should you get? Bachelor certificate or its equivalent, your official transcript, international passport, and a proof of English language proficiency. Now, this can come in about 3 ways. 1, letter of English proficiency from your institution. Some schools in the UK, if you go through their English language proficiency or English language requirements, when you go through, they might state clearly that if your previous study was in English, you just need to submit a letter of English language proficiency from your previous institution, indicating that the language of instruction in your previous study was in English. That's all. And if you are going to do that, you just visit your university. It's free in my school. I hope it's free in yours. I just hope so. Now, you go to your school, and then I think you go to the registrar's office because they're the ones in charge, and then they produce the letter on your behalf. And you can't, it will not have a to whom it may concern. They always address it to specific schools. So that means before you go, shortlist the number of schools you want to write that letter to, so that once you go, you just tell them, I need 5, I need 4, so that you won't be going and coming, going and coming. When they see you, they'll get pissed off because you keep going and coming. It's best you go once and ask for the 6 of them or the 5 of them. Then they could say, no, we do not want such a letter. We prefer you to bring a standardized English test score, either IELTS or TOEFL. IELTS is UK-based, TOEFL is America-based. You can write either one. Just go through the website of the school to know what the expected score, the minimum score is for each band is very important. Minimum score for each band, very important. Now, the last option is the WAST, which is the West Africa Senior School Certificate. So for West African countries, English speaking, most of us have this written after high school, and we have the result. Because it's a regional exam, it's actually accepted by some schools in the UK. So go through, if is one of those things that is listed that can be submitted, then you are lucky. You don't need to write anything or pay anything. All you need to do is to submit your original WAEC certificate, not statement of result, original WAEC certificate. And some schools will tell you minimum of C4, some will tell you C6, and they will also tell you the age of the certificate should not be older than 10 years old. Should not be older than 10 years. And if it is older than that, they might reject it. So take note of all this when you are applying for admission to these schools. Lastly is you choose a credible referee. Very important. Now, people don't take this as important, and I don't really know why. They play around with it. Referee, the letter submitted by referees are often scored and graded by some of these scholarship sponsors. They pay attention. Do you know the reason? It's because you can say whatever you like in your application. You can claim to be what you are not. So who they are going to believe more to verify your claim is a professional, usually someone who is important in society, or a university senior lecturer or professor who they believe has a reputation to protect. And if he says something similar about you, then they can trust your quality for postgraduate studies. That's why it's so important and cannot be written anyhow. Now, another important thing here is the email. These days, some universities have preference for institutional emails and not your Yahoo or your Gmail. They want institutional emails like futa.edu, the unilag.edu and the likes. They want institutional emails. So take note of that. If the person works in an organization, they want that organization's email domain, by the way. Next slide, please. Okay, so how competitive is your profile? Now, I know you might have a question that, okay, my CGPA is not that great. What else can I do to improve myself? So I'm going to run through this, or you can look at this because you guys will have access to the slides. I'm going to give the slides for you guys to have access to it. So you could just run through this. These are different things you could do to boost your profile. For example, if the CGPA is a bit low, like it's a 2.2 or it's a weak 2.1, maybe like a 3.5, and you feel you don't stand a chance with those with a first class of 4 points, then you could think about previous academic laurels. What have you won in the past? This is important. What have you won in the past? Then if you've won a scholarship, like I won total EPNL scholarship for my undergrad. I also won the federal government of Nigeria scholarship during my undergrad. So these two, I had to slot into my application for Commonwealth, and I'm sure it actually helped me. So if you want such things in the past, you need to mention them. Relevant internship, relevant to the masters you are proposing, not just any internship. It has to be relevant to the masters you're proposing. Relevant work experience, relevant to the masters you want to do. It has to be relevant, not just any work experience. Membership of relevant professional bodies. So you want to go do your master's in an area of geoscience, and you say you're a member of NAPE. That makes sense because they are petroleum explorationists, I think, if I got that right, because I'm not a member, but I think I got that right anyway. So if you're a member of NAPE and you're going for that, it makes perfect sense. So you need to be a member of this. This would count. Academic conferences, not just where you sat down and you listened and you were nodding, but that you presented either orally or you gave a poster presentation. This is important because they know you have, that means you have an experience with all of this because you'll be doing some of these during your master's. Now, academic publications as well, relevant to the master's, not just any publication. so that it won't be a misfit. And it has to be peer reviewed. Be careful that it's published in a good journal, because if it's not, then you put yourself in more trouble, because when they see it, they go, what the heck is this? So be sure it's published in a good journal so that you don't put yourself in more trouble. Now you have relevant online short courses that you can take online: Udemy, Khan Academy, the Future Learn platform. There are loads of them, and you can get, some of them are free, some you have to pay. They have to be relevant to the MSc. Then leadership experience and voluntary experience. Most importantly, your personal statement or statement of purpose or letter of motivation. The nomenclature may change, but they are somewhat the same. This is so important. That's why I bolded the text. Now, if you do not write this properly, no matter how good your profile is, from 1 to 10, they might not pick you, because this is what they write to adjudge you. And so if it's not well written, you might not be selected. So for that one, ensure that you get previous scholars to help you out, or you get professionals to read through your work if you are not so confident in your writing before you submit. Next slide, please. Okay, so after this slide is the very last one, and we'll be done. I'm sorry, because I think I've even gone past 15 minutes already. So I had to put a list of 20 social media pages to make it easy for you to track scholarships when they are available. You know, many of us are now on social media pages, but this is for Facebook. This is for Facebook. Virtually more people are on FB than on any other platform. So that's why I say to use this. So if you can follow Scholarship Union, Scholarships for Opportunities, and all of this, the Opportunity Desk, Opportunity Venue, Scholarship for Opportunities for Africans, Erasmus Mundus, Nigeria, the Shoulders of Giants, there are about 20 of them. Next slide, please. If you can follow all of them, or just follow a couple of them, that means you never miss out. Because the more you keep getting buzzes that you have a message on Facebook, you're going to get a buzz from these guys that there's a scholarship out. So that way you can track it in real time. You can track it almost instantaneously. As it's out, you just get a buzz on your phone. So this is a smart way to keep track of scholarship opportunities globally. Next slide. I guess that's it. That'll be all. And I hope I have covered most of the things, the burning, you know, most of the things that are burning in your hearts. I hope I've been able to cover that within this short time. Thank you very much.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That was really great. Thank you so very much. Right. I'm just going to give the speaker a couple of minutes so that we can probably have a sip of water or some drink, and then we're going to kickstart the question and answer section. Please, if you keep your question coming, I can see some questions already, but if you post your questions in the chat box. And I said I was going to give an opportunity to just one person. If you want to share your story about how you won a competitive scholarship, if you let me know in the chat this opportunity, and yeah, you can, yeah. Otherwise, I will have 2 minutes break and come back to the question. Right. Okay, great. Because of our time, I think we should start the question and answer section. Yep. Can I have the two panelists unmute themselves, please? Yep. I can see you today. Shaye. Yep. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much, and welcome you to this question and answer section. So I'm just literally going to read the questions from the chat box, and I'm hopefully we should be able to go through most of them. The first question comes from Yemi, and her question is just trying to get to know what are the opportunities for people who are already in the UK, I guess home student, and I would like Mr. Wasika, if you can shed more light, what are the opportunities available for students in the UK?
Okay, depending on the level you're applying to, if you are, and also depending on either you're a home student or an international student. So if you're an international student, like Dr. Macaulay has mentioned, many of those scholarships, you could apply to them. Then you could also apply to individual scholarships depending on the level, or internal scholarships depending on the level you are, as an undergrad, as a postgrad, master's level, also postgraduate PhD level. But if you are a home student, you even have more opportunities to you, more than the international student. So because most of the scholarships available in the UK are tied to home students, most of them is either you're a home student or EU student. So you have more opportunities, like in PhD scholarships, you will find many more opportunities for home students than you will find for international students. So like we even say for my department, there is a scholarship that is strictly for home students, and there are some that are strictly for home and international students. So depending on the level, there are so many opportunities for both home and international students.
If I may comment, where do you think they can find these opportunities? Where can they go? Maybe a website, or where can they find these opportunities?
Okay, I shared some links on in the chat box for home and international students, so for home students, either undergrad or postgrad. So there you can get some information. Then another place is, if you have a particular school in mind, then you have to visit those websites. You have to visit their website to get them. But from the ones I shared, they will give you pointers to the kind of applications you can, or the kind of funding opportunities you can get access to. I can still reshare. I can still reshare because I shared it just after my
if
talk.
you can just post it now, then great. People can see. Just to add to that, I know I've kind of supervised some master students who wanted to get PhD scholarship, and they're home students actually. And what they've done is to email the bosses, so the supervisors, so we call them PIs, the professor, to find out whether they have any project in their lab or they have any funding in their lab. And you need to email as many supervisors as possible, because even though you're in the UK, it's still very competitive, right? So you can email your supervisor, prepare your CV, and email the different supervisors. Identify which area you want to do your PhD or master's in, and then you can email the supervisor to find out the opportunities that are available, and then you can take it from there. Yeah, great. And the next question comes from Caroline, and she's just 1 second. She wants to thank both of you for an amazing time, amazing presentation, and she was wondering courses that's reflective of individual passion, like coaching program or stuff like that. Something that you're passionate about. Are there scholarships that covers, maybe if someone is into sports or into coaching, are there kind of courses and scholarships that cover this kind of programs?
Well, can I come in here?
I would like to, yeah, Dr. Macaulay, if you can go.
Okay. Okay. Unfortunately, most scholarships cover STEM or STEAM, as the case may be. But when it comes to very highly specialized fields like sports, like music, you don't have a lot. But I came across a scholarship, which is the Orange Knowledge Program. It's on the list. I showed, it's on the list. It's to the Netherlands. So for the Orange Knowledge Program, it covers a whole lot of programs, and I found sport on it. Yes, so, and it's funded. And so I guess that's one I have seen, and one I can confidently say it's available and that you can go for. So it's the Orange Knowledge Program. You can read up more on it on Google. It takes you to the Netherlands for your master's in sports or bachelor's in sports, even short courses.
Okay, great. Mr. Awosika, do you have anything to add? If not, we can move to the next question.
No, not really. I think another thing just I would like to add would just be they should maybe contact the institution that is offering, if they've actually identified a particular institution, to contact them for if there are particular funding opportunities, because some of those institutions too can have their own internal scholarship.
Yeah, so yeah, just to add to that, first of all, try to see what university offer your course, and then look at the website of the university to see if there are funding opportunities for that particular course. Just to add to what you've already said. The next question comes from Adiola, and I think this Shay has highlighted already, issue of part funding, and if you get a scholarship that's not covering it's not a full package. How do you go about securing the remaining parts? And if I have 50% of my tuition covered, should I still take the scholarship and come to the UK? I'm hoping that, what are the other options to survive or to make up the other money? Shay, do you want to start? Because you've had this experience, right? Your funding was initially for master was part funding. So if you want to share your experience, and probably you've spoken to other people as well. Yeah.
Okay. For mine, yeah, like I said, it was partial. But I was, because like I mentioned, I'd worked for a few years in Nigeria, so I was able to cover the remaining part. Then I think for where I had issues was when I came here, I think at the point to now pay for accommodation was an issue. So I had to look for jobs around. So it was through the jobs, I got jobs. There are part-time jobs in the uni. There were part-time jobs in town that I did that I was able to cover. But it also depends on the level. That's for a master's student. For a PhD student, you have even more opportunities. You could be employed as a graduate teaching assistant. So you'll be paid, and that payment could be able to maybe cover part of it. I know someone who got a partial scholarship for his PhD. I think they covered his EU. They paid for the EU tuition. So I think he had about 3,000 or 4,000 left to pay every year. But he got the role of a graduate teaching assistant, and with that was able to cover, and did also a bit of other jobs. So he was able to cover those the shortfall.
Great. That's really great. Will you consider part-time working as supplementary as well? And of course, 20 hours per week. Can you combine the two? How stressful is it to combine a master's program and a part-time job? Milton, did you work part-time when you were no?
Well, it was even against the rules for Commonwealth. They do not want you to work because you are paid every month, and they do not expect that you should lack anything for you to go and work. So I didn't have to.
Okay, but what's the general idea? What do you think about the notion of maybe you can make up the money with part-time work?
Well, the truth is it can be distracting because masters is very intensive. Masters in the UK is very intensive and demanding. All you've got is 1 year, and then you arrive instantaneously. You've started, with assignments, coursework. So it can be distracting. But if you can cope, well, I used to say if you can cope in Nigeria, you can cope anywhere. So, but if you can cope, then I think it's fine because you would get jobs. Yeah, there are part-time jobs. In fact, for students, there are loads of them, and you can always maybe take some days off your week, days that you know you're not going to have any classes, and then you can just work, then rest over the weekend and do the assignments and whatever. Just find a balance. You just need to find the balance. That's it. But it can work. Yes, it can.
Great. Shay, I'll just like to come back to you. If I have my tuition fee covered, let's say waived by the university or in form of funding, and I don't have living allowance, I probably can raise 1 month's rent or something like that. Should I still make my way to the UK? What do you think?
As a master's student, right?
Yeah.
It's like Dr. Matoya said, it can be very challenging because it can be very challenging. I think the advantage, if you have support, like let's say you're married and you have your spouse comes with you, so your spouse can work full time to help you, to support you. But if you are the only person, it can actually be very demanding. I was able to cover most part of my tuition then, so I think that's why it was a little bit easier for me. But if you just got 50% and want to get the 50, you want to raise the remaining 50% through your working hours, it might be challenging because you are limited in terms of you to 20 hours per week. And 20 hours per week, there's no guarantee that you can even get those 20 hours in some areas, in some locations. Maybe if you're in London, you could get 20 hours, but if you're in Lancaster, you might not get the 20 hours. So it can be very tricky. But like I said, if you have a support, it will be easier. Even if it may be spread over the 1 year, it can be easier, but it's very challenging.
Okay, yeah, I actually wanted us to talk more about this because these are real challenges and real practical issues with funding. I've got a question from Mrs. Fashina Toby, and she wanted to know, of course, I know you've covered part of this in your presentation, but maybe you can shed more light. If you have a second-class lower, what are your chances of getting funding?
Oh, okay. This is always asked every time, I know. Well, yes. Now, the reality is it might be difficult, but it's not impossible. I've had many people with 2-2 getting funding. Now, another reality I discovered is it's even easier for the 2-2 to get funding in the US than in the UK. Now, the reason is because the UK system sometimes the scholarship types, like the Commonwealth. Now, the basic requirement to apply is 2-1 or 2-2 with MSc. If you already have masters, why will you come and do another masters? And that's the issue. So I have not really seen someone with a 2-2 has done a masters and wants to come, apply for a master's scholarship. They will just want to advance straight to PhD if they want to stay in academia. So what I'm trying to say in a nutshell is it's a bit challenging, but it's not impossible. However, if you really want a scholarship, I personally would recommend the US. Why? In the US, they look at everything you have holistically. You would not really find them say you must have this. They look at everything, work experience, internship, all of that. Sometimes you can even write GRE. Even if they don't really ask you, just write it, add it to it. If you have 300 or 306, add it to it. It makes them have a second thought. Then you convince a potential supervisor that you're competent. He agrees to supervise you, and the rest is history. So I think you just have to look at these options globally, from a global view, and where it's easier for you to get in. But for the UK, it's a bit more difficult. That's the reality. A lot of people like to talk, make you have hope, but I won't give you empty hope. I'll tell you the truth. The truth is it's more challenging in the UK compared to the US. That's it.
Great, thank you very much. I know we've talked about STEM subjects and scholarship available for science courses. Shayi, I know you've moved from engineering to business, right?
Wow.
So business and humanity. That was a great shift. Are there available? How available are the scholarships to support humanities courses in humanities, like say history and international study? I'm asking this because Jessica particularly asked to know about scholarships that are available for humanities, like history, international studies, and scholarships that are available for business courses. How can people access this scholarship?
Yes, there are possible, there are scholarships. They might not be as popular or as commonplace as you are for STEM and probably a few other ones, but there are possible scholarships. For international students, I'm not too sure. Yes, but I know recently, in fact, I think there was this visa scholarship for undergraduates for home students is actually not only for STEM. I think STEM, business, and humanities can actually apply. So that shows that there are opportunities, just looking in the right places to find them.
Great, that's fine. I've got a comment here. They're asking whether you guys can share your CV so that they can have a clue of how they can draft their own CV.
Do you have do you want to give me a job?
Yeah. But they also wanted to know where they can also greatly. I know you've shared some of the international scholarship. If you have specific projects like studentship, where do you readily find professors sharing opportunities that are in their group? Where can you get a specific opportunity instead of this covered by external funding? Let's say a particular project that's come up in a particular university or in a particular group. What are the websites to look out for these opportunities? Do you get what I mean? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, the truth of the matter is LinkedIn these days. LinkedIn, professors come down there and they just put it up. They're looking for a PhD student or they're looking for a postdoc and they just announce it. So if you're not on LinkedIn, you're doing yourself a lot of disservice. So LinkedIn is number one, I would say. Then this find a PhD. Godwin, did I get that right? Find a PhD.
Yeah.
You've read that platform.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's a very good platform as well. You see advertised works, especially for PhDs. Find a PhD. I think findthephd.com or something. You would find you would see advertised research work that you can apply for. But let's start with LinkedIn. Be on LinkedIn, be active, and you'll be stunned that you'll come across these opportunities because the professors oftentimes just come on LinkedIn and advertise, not just for UK, even for the US.
Great. Shay, do you have anything to add?
Yes, you could, like you said, find a PhD is a good place. Then you could also try jobs.ac.uk. That's another one where you will find the whole list. And I think one thing I would advise is for you to set alerts for the kind of scholarships you want. So if you want scholarships in humanities, you send and you create an alert so that it will notify you to send to your email whenever any scholarship in that field pops up. So jobs.ac.uk, and also, like you said, LinkedIn. You find all those opportunities in LinkedIn. Many of those opportunities in LinkedIn, on LinkedIn rather.
Right, that's fine. I think we just have a few minutes to finish. Can I ask you to talk about how to package your application, specifically personal statement? What are the things to look out for, and how do you write a very convincing personal statement? Jude, if you want to go first, and then Shay, if you can add to that as well. Yeah.
Okay, so for a personal statement, now I've read a lot of things online where people try to separate personal statement from statement of purpose, from letter of motivation. In my opinion, they are there is an overlap, a very strong overlap. So in my opinion, it's just nomenclature. They are literally somewhat the same. So whether it's PS, SOP, LOM, I will call it my winning formula because I apply it in my company, Illumania, and it's been working. A lot of the clients have won through it using the formula. So, and I'll share it for free here. Paragraph 1, when you are writing, first paragraph, focus on the problem statement. Now, these days, scholarship sponsors want you to be able to connect that master's with a problem you intend to solve with the knowledge and skills gained. So if you are not thinking in that line, you will not be able to attract that scholarship. So start with a problem statement or a challenge, national, global, or local. There has to be a problem. For example, maybe you're in healthcare, you want to study public health. Why? Maybe because of Lassa fever. Lassa fever is still endemic in some parts of Nigeria. That's local, but you can talk about it as a problem. And you say, this has inspired me to pursue a master's degree in public health. That's how you end that paragraph after talking about the problem. One more information. Don't just talk about the problem from your head. Use statistics, use data, use figures to support them, to corroborate these facts. Always cite them. So put your citations in brackets. Macaulay et al. 2020. There were 20% of people suffer from blah, 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 blah. Macaulay et al. 2020 in brackets. Always put that so that they can trust the source of information. It's not just coming from your head. So that's paragraph 1. Paragraph 2, now focus on you. The degree you have. In fact, if you know you have a great CGPA, mention it. There is a way you write this. Talk about your percentage. How do I put it now?
Your ranking.
Your ranking, yes, that's how. Your rank in your cohort, in your study group, your rank. You could be within the 1%, which means you're probably one of the best, maybe 1 or 2, maybe you are the best or second best, or within 3% of your cohorts, or within 10%. You must know where you lie, or have an estimate of where you lie, and mention it. It's very important because it puts things in perspective when they read. If possible, mention the number of people as well so that they understand where you lie. And then talk about the courses you've done, relevant courses you've done that has provided or that will provide a background to do that master's. Mention them. Also talk about your internship experience. Some of us will go for internship in year 4 or year 3. If it's related to that master's, mention your experience. Mention your work experience after graduation, where you then worked. If you worked in 3 places and they are relevant, mention them. And don't just mention your achievements. Now, when you now get to voluntary experience, don't just say, I volunteered with the Lagos Food Bank. That's all. That does not make any sense. What you should say is, I volunteered with the Lagos Food Bank as so, and I was a member of a 3-man committee that looked at so that was beneficial to 300 people in Ibejuleki community. You have to be very specific with numbers, with details, because it will be believable. Don't just make it superficial. You must make it very believable. Be specific. Now, after you complete all that details about you and your professional or your academic experience or skill that makes you fit enough to apply for the scholarship, you can now go to paragraph 3. Paragraph 3 can now focus on why you chose the course. What is it about that course? The curriculum structure, the courses you will be taught. Is it, does it align with your expectation? Don't forget you mentioned the problem in paragraph 1. We must see a consistency that those courses will arm you with skills and knowledge to solve those problems in paragraph 1. So you must show that connection. Then talk about why you chose the university. There are many schools that offer public health. Why did you choose LSHTM? Why did you choose that one? So you must be able to show whether they are the best, in public health, or they are well ranked, or there is a professor that does something along the line of research that you like, and that attracted you to the school. It has to be trustworthy. Don't be generic. If you are just saying the ranking and you stop there, there has to be something deeper than the ranking. So that's that. And then you can put a fourth paragraph, because most PSs are 500 words. So there's no space to just continue writing as you like. So paragraph 4 can now be career plan. You must tie what you're studying to what you will do after you finish. So after I complete the master's, I intend to do so. You must have a career plan, and divide this career plan into 3: immediate goal, short-term goal, and long-term goal. Immediate goal is what you do immediately you finish the master's or PhD. Short-term goal is 3 to 5 years after you finish the master's or PhD. Long-term goal is 5 to 10 years after you finish. It doesn't matter if these things don't happen. What matters is that you have a plan, and everything aligns from paragraph 1 through to paragraph 3 to paragraph 4. Then you have a fantastic PS.
Great. Yeah, that was really great. Shay, do you have anything to add to this?
Yeah, I think that template is fantastic. The only thing I could add is, for some, it's like PhD scholarships, like the one I applied for, they will ask you to specify if you want a scholarship in your motivation letter or statement of intent or personal statement. So you need to not just say, okay, consider me for scholarship. You all need to back it up with why you should be considered for this scholarship. Like, I'm looking back at my own personal statement for my PhD. I think when my research, like I said, is in financial technology, and I've worked in financial technology and banking. So I was able to relate it with what I was doing. In fact, there was a line, if I can remember, there was a line in my statement where I said, believe me when I say I eat, I sleep, I drink financial technology. Then I now wrote this and this and this and this were the things I've done related to this research I want to embark on. So I think that's all I can add.
Great, thank you very much. While I'm still with you, can you give your final words to people aspiring to secure funding for their future studies? Final piece of advice, if you have any. And then I'll come back to you, Jide, for a final piece of advice as well. So Shay, if we start with you, and then we round up the section with Jide, a final piece of advice. Yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you. I think I will start with one of my closings, one of the ways I closed earlier on, that don't think you're not good enough, and don't belittle yourself, because I was there at the point I thought, okay, maybe I couldn't get it. Maybe my proposal wasn't even that good. Maybe no one will even give me an admission with this proposal. But it was that last minute push that I did that got me to where I am today. That's one. So don't think you're not good enough. So many people are thinking that way. So if we all think that way, nobody will apply. Then secondly, any little thing, any little information can be key. Like we've mentioned, LinkedIn, make LinkedIn your breakfast, bread, lunch, and dinner. Then contact people when you're looking for PhD sponsorship. Contact people, look for potential supervisors. You might get a lot of rejections. So many people might not even respond to you. I think about 20, maybe I sent 20 emails, maybe just 5 people responded to me. So, but one person might just be the key to that success you seek. And all the best in your endeavors.
Thank you very much. That was powerful. Jide, over to you, please.
Okay, thanks a lot. Mine is always the same. Anytime I'm asked, what's your pattern, is always the same, and that's, you might get rejection emails. Consider it normal. When you apply for a scholarship and you get rejected, consider it normal. I got rejections myself, lots of them. In fact, I have a list of them that I kept, about 50 of scholarships that did not work. 50, no jokes. Now, so rejections are normal. I get people, they get a single rejection and they get discouraged and they abandon the process. That's it, they are done. You would never know if you give up like that so easily. So in my opinion, develop a thick skin. Develop a thick skin to rejection. It's so important in life. It's even called adversity quotient. It's one of the quotients. There are 4 of them. That's the last one. You need to have it in life. Adversity. Things might be tough, might be challenging. It's part of life. So develop a thick skin and keep trying until you win. That's my philosophy, and that's what has helped me in life. I don't stop. I continue. I keep trying. And eventually, one would win. Then I stop when I've won. I don't stop until I've won. So keep trying until you win. That's my parting words for you guys.
Great.
Thank
Keep
you.
trying until you win, and don't underestimate yourself. I don't think you're not up to it. These are the 2 powerful parting words. And we'll use this powerful parting word to draw a conclusion to this section. And I'm sure you will agree with me that this has been very informative sections. And I'd like to use this opportunity to thank the presenters for their time. But before we finish formally, I will invite one of the co-chair of this team to give a vote of thanks, especially thank the resource people who have made time for us today, but also to give you any notices that we may have, especially regarding the next event we're thinking about. I have the pleasure of welcoming Dr. Akin today for this vote of thanks, and he will close the section with a word of prayers. Yeah, Dr. Akin today, the floor is yours.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Godwin. To tell the truth, I can't thank the speakers enough. I know you've thanked them at the beginning and you've thanked them now. I can't thank them enough because it's a tremendous sacrifice to speak to us. Both of them are very busy, doing serious hard work, and they shared this. They took their time to speak to us. So, Dr. Babajide Milton Macaulay, I'd like to really thank you because this isn't the first time you've spoken to us. So I thank you because having spoken to us once, you thought that we were worth speaking to a second time. Thank you very much for that. And your insightful, you didn't just come and speak. We could tell that there was a lot of preparation, there was a lot of experience, and there was a lot of goodwill as well. And I thank you also for giving us the permission to share your slides. So I also want to thank my good friend, Mr. Shei Awoshika, who responded to the call. You know, I just called him and said, oh, would you like to share your experience? And he didn't even hesitate. He was like, yeah, no problem. And what a brilliant sharing from his experience. And so when I spoke to him at first, I just thought he was going to share how he got his PhD, but it looks like he's done even more research. He's given a lot more general information, which is useful to everyone. To tell the truth, I wish I had some of this information when I was studying. And part of what we do in the OFNC is, as the chairman has said, and I'd like to thank the chairman as well for gracing us with this occasion. Many of you won't know, but I do know that when he became chairman, that was one of the first things he spoke about in his speech to the Executive Council when he was made chairman, as about this Back to the Roots program. So I know it's something that's very dear to our chairman's heart. And so thank you very much, because every time you come and you speak to us, and we're all really motivated by your own achievements in your personal life, as well as by your leadership and by the fact that you're really interested in what we're doing. I'd also like to thank all the members of the organizing committee. We will call ourselves the Back to the Roots team. You've already heard the great work by Dr. Godwin Aleku. He's excellent. And the moment he became the MC, we realized we couldn't do with another one because there was no one as good as him doing the job. I think we used to actually joke. By the way, if anyone's looking for, if any sort of television stations looking for a presenter, you know, just share your details on the screen so that they can just call you. You can do that as a second job with your with your great work fellowship in Cambridge University. So I'd also like to thank Dr. Phyllis Mwadike, who has also been a great person. She's one of our real motivators, and Dr. Benga Dimu as well, who combines this with hard work in research, and as well as being one of the area secretaries of the Overseas Fellowship of Nigerian Christians, which brings me to the next point. You can find out a lot more about the fellowship. We are on various social media outlets. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, and all you have to do is search for OFNC UK. Don't just search for OFNC, because I did that on YouTube and I found something called Our Friends Have Not Come. We are here, your friends are here. So please just do OFNC UK. And the reason why we're recording this earlier on is that within the next day or two, it'll be on our YouTube channel. So if you want to find out a lot of the programs that we've done, not just for students, but for the various branch activities, men's conferences, annual conferences, women's conferences, 11 to 17, children, 18 to 30. There's so many events on our YouTube channel. So just search for OFNC UK and you'll see all of them, and you can be a subscriber and be informed about whatever else we have. You can also check on Facebook, and you can check on Instagram, as I said. Now, you would have seen, I'm sure, a link to a feedback form. If you can, please fill that feedback form. And the reason why I'd like you to fill that feedback form is because it tells us the kinds of things that you're interested in. So if we know what kinds of things you're interested in, it will help us to shape our future programs. And we will give you that kind of information. Another of the things that obviously you don't have to give us consent to contact you. And if you don't give us the consent, we won't contact you. But if you did give us the consent, we would be able to tell you when the next event will take place. But more than that, you can check on our Facebook and our other social media handles anyway. It was so good to see all of you, and I noticed there was robust discussion going on during the chat, during the conference. So thank you all very much for participating in a very interactive session. And thank you very much to my co-chair. I leave him till last because you know how they say the last is really the most important. Without Professor Bamidele Adebisi, who is also, he's actually an award-winning professor. So let's see, if it was Caucasian, he'd be blushing now, because he's very humble. He doesn't want us to mention all these many achievements, but he takes time out of all those achievements and all the projects that he looks at student CVs. He does so many things. So I'd like to thank you, Professor Adebisi, for all the hard work that you're doing. And so I will just close with a word of prayer. And Lord, I thank you because you're good. I thank you because your word says your mercy endures forever. But it's not just your word, it's my experience that your mercy over my life has endured forever. And I thank you, Lord, for the speakers who have given of their time, their energy, and their effort. I thank you, Lord God, for those who have planned this event, and I thank you for those who have supported. I thank you for those who have attended. Lord God, my prayer is that for all those who have 5 talents, their talents will be 10. In Jesus' name, I pray you will bless and you will prosper those who have given. I pray that their oil will never run dry, and I pray that blessing will follow them for giving unto this project. In Jesus' name we pray. I thank you, Lord, for all those who have attended. I pray that the conversation will bless them and that it would be useful in their lives. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Just one more thing. If you know somebody who would benefit from this, like I said, in a day or two, it'll be out on YouTube. So please ensure to tell them to look out on the OFNC YouTube channel. There's a Back to the Roots playlist on the YouTube channel, which is where we'll put it. Thank you very much. Over now to Dr. Godwin Aleko.
Yeah, that's everything. Just remember to complete the feedback form, especially if you want the slides from Dr. Macaulay. We can get your email from there and we'll be able to send you the slides through your emails. Yeah, thank you again for coming. Cheers, bye.
so annoying. Because we're even.
Sorry, 1 second.
The recording has now stopped.
Okay, yeah, that was what I was going to say. If you can stop the recording.
Ooh.
And